Hi everyone! Over the weekend I had a little play in my art journal and I started drawing different sort of Christmas ornaments, and there is a video of these vintage Christmas ornaments if you want to have a look. But here today I want to show you how to make this, or how to draw this hipster Santa. So I just did a very simple outline with a pencil. The reason I started with a pencil first rather than going in with a with the fountain pen is simply because I was not sure what or how I wanted the Santa to look, and so it actually was from the first attempt, and I really like how he looks. So let's go ahead. So I started with the hat, so I'm going to create an illusion of the white fur, and now that I'm going with the fountain pen, I'm going to make the lines slightly more interesting where I want. Next thing I'm going to do is to draw a face, so he's going to be a well-fed Santa, obviously. So I'm just going to create like an oval, and then a little bit of hair on each side, like so, and of course the beard. Santa is no Santa without the beard. Then I'm going to create a nose, so the nose will be like so, and then underneath the nose I'm going to create a moustache, like so. Then I'm going to move on to these hipster glasses. In fact, they're going to be sunglasses because he's super hip, this Santa. And I'm going to create the sunglasses. I'm just going to leave them like that, but I'm going to do some line work here just to create an illusion of reflection, like so. Actually, let me zoom in so you can see better. Hopefully like this. Then I'm going to move on to his brows. They're quite basic, and that is it for the face. So there is no need for any more detail than that. Then I'm going to carry on with his shoulders and his arms, which just go like that in an oval shape, and going to do the same here, like so, and then the arms like here. And then we're doing the fur parts, which are here on the hat, so they're matching. And of course he's wearing some gloves, thick gloves, because he has to keep warm. And my Santa is actually wearing a onesie, because again he's a hipster Santa. So you could see there I had to correct the line because his leg, this leg wasn't as plump as the other one. And then I'm going to do the fur again on the bottom of his trouser, or it could be either the bottom of his trousers or the boots. So very simple single lines, like so. And that is it. That is the illustration. From this you can create an ornament, which is what I'm going to do. So to create an ornament, you just draw like a square shape on top, just 3 lines connecting. That basically is now an ornament. But like I said, if you don't want the Santa to be an ornament, you can just leave this part out and just have him like that. So now I'm going to make sure my ink is completely dry, and then I'm going to go with an eraser and take the pencil lines out. So in terms of watercolor, I considered first of all to use the Scarlet from White Nights, which is my all-time favorite red. It's a gorgeous color, but it would be more of a traditional red, whereas because he's a hipster Santa, I want him to be a little bit more modern, and therefore I'm going to go for this red, which is like a pinkish red. It's still very luminous and very vibrant, so I think it will be fantastic. But like I said, it's just will look a little bit more modern just because it has that pink undertone, and it's the quinacridone red from the White Nights. And I'm going to start on this side. I tend to make the left side the darkest, and then the light source tends to come from the right. So the colors that there will be predominantly will be this red and white. I don't want any other colors at all. And then I might, for the white, what I might do is just go in with a silver, just to make it look shimmery and suggest sort of snow. So at this point I'm going to dab off on this side just to create that gradient kind of look. It is a little bit too light, but I do want to be able to control it, so I'm going to dab in a little bit of the quinacridone red here and let the watercolor just flow rather than fill the entire side. So I'm going to create these lovely blooms, possibly a little bit here just for some shading. Again, I'm going to really dry out my brush on a piece of paper. This is how I do it, really making sure there is no water left, and then just with the driest tip I am going to touch it and blend it out. As you can see, it now creates that lovely blended look. So I'm going to now move on to his trousers and do the same thing. So starting with the darkest and the most intense on the left. I'm going to give him red boots as well. I don't want black boots. So the boots I'm going to make quite intense and dark, probably in one color. I'm not going to do gradient here just because I want the boots to be the darkest. So now you can see on the trousers I really have to go in and lift it because it's way too intense. To lift it, I'm just dabbing my brush here on a tissue and going in and lifting just like that until I'm satisfied with the highlighted area. So I'm leaving these corners darkest, and then just in the middle of his hip I am lightening it up. So also be aware of what type of paper you're using, because you could start breaking the paper down if you really carry on for too long. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into his gloves actually, or his mittens, and I'm going to also make them the darkest, and I'm going to try and use as little water as I can, just to have a pure pigment there, and obviously that would make it the darkest. Where I can, I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. Here with the white I don't need to leave a gap, just because these reds are touching, so wherever they're touching I'm leaving a gap. And then I'm going to do the same thing with his hat. I'm going to make it also very red. As a highlight, I'm going to leave a little white area like so. So that's going to be the highlight, and the rest of the hat can be nice and intense. So I'm obviously leaving the fur part white, so that would be this part and this part. For his hair, it's going to be white as well, but I think I need to create some sort of shading there, because otherwise he doesn't look very natural. So for the shading, I'm going to go into indigo and make sure I mix out a very light color, and then I'm going to switch to small brush. This is size 3 round brush, and I'm going to use that for the shading. So I'm just going to make sure I have the tiniest amount of water, because I don't want him to look blue, but I do want to suggest some shadowing right here. I'm just imagining where there would be shadows, and so this is where I'm going in, and if I need to suggest even more, then I would go into the pigment and let it flow a little bit like this. Same thing on all the fur parts as well, just the tiniest amount. I'm going to give him a very slight pink cheek with actually the same quinacridone red, but I'm going to really dilute the watercolor, make sure there's hardly anything there, and I'm going to give him this healthy blush because he's out in the cold and he gets pink cheeks. And that is it really. I can also give him a little bit of a pink nose like that, and if I think it's too much I can just pick it up and just leave a light suggestion of that. So that is it. I think he looks pretty cool, my hipster Santa. And to finish it off, I'm just going to grab the silver watercolors, and before I go to the next step, I'm going to use the heat gun and completely dry the watercolors. Actually, I just wanted to show you how to correct a watercolor situation like this. So on the leg, it is looking a little bit overworked, because what I'm loving in watercolor are these merges and blends and watercolor flows, like you can see here. It looks a lot more natural. This one looks quite forced, and I don't like the look at all. So it's like a straight line where I try to pick it up. So what I'm going to do to correct this, I'm going to wet my brush ever so slightly so that I don't have a huge amount of water there, but enough to moisten the areas that I want to correct. So I'm going to put water where I want to create these blooms. Okay, so I'm going to do it right in the corner here, this corner here, and over here. And now I'm going to go back into that watercolor. and just dab in the watercolor like so, and let it flow by itself. I can see that there is again a line there that is not going to help, so I'm going to try and soften things out, but not to the point that it becomes flat again. So this looks now a lot better. Okay, so now I'm going back to the round brush 3, and I'm going to use this lovely silver. This is what it looks like on the swatch, so it's really not noticeable when you look straight ahead at it, because it kind of blends in with the white of the paper. But if you tilt it, you can see what a beautiful sheen it gives, and it's called Sterling Silver, and it's by Finetech. These are handmade watercolors, and I have recommended them in my gift guide just because I love them so much. Okay, so I can see that actually my water is quite dirty and pink from the quinacridone red, so I probably should have changed it, but anyway, I'm going to mix it up now, and hopefully, yeah, so you can't really notice it now. So I'm going to work the watercolor slightly. It reactivates really quickly and becomes super buttery and smooth. And now I'm just going to go over the areas that I have where I have put the indigo. And I'm not going to cover the entire area, but just a little bit, so that you can still see the indigo. I'm going to finish the bauble by picking up this Inca Gold. I find that Inca Gold works really beautifully. It's this color right here, and that's what it looks like on the swatch. I find that Arabic Gold doesn't work with red as well. It clashes, and it the Inca Gold just looks better with pink. It kind of complements each other, these two colors, the pink and the so I'm just putting it into the part that holds the ribbon or attaches the ribbon to the ornament, like so. And that is it. So I'm going to show you now, when I tilt it on the light, what's that going to create. So hopefully you can, you can see the lovely shimmer effect, which makes it look like it's snow. I mean, you could put some skin tones into his face if you really want to. I generally don't like that, so I like it to keep nice and simple. So yeah, that's my Hipster Santa Christmas ornament. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and see you soon.